Look at your paycheck. At first glance, it feels pretty good, right? You look at the numbers and think, I'm making more money than my parents did at my age. I'm winning the game. But then you go to the grocery store. You pay your rent. You look at the price of a decent used car, and suddenly that fat paycheck feels incredibly thin. You are working longer hours, producing more value, climbing the corporate ladder, yet somehow you feel like you are constantly running on a treadmill just to stay in the exact same place. What if I told you that you aren't imagining things? You are actually getting poorer every single year, despite making more money. Welcome to the greatest financial illusion ever created by governments and central banks, the illusion of inflation. Let's step into a time machine and travel back to 1974. The median household income in the United States was around $11,000 a year. With that $11,000, a house cost roughly 3 times a family's annual salary. A new car was about a third of your yearly pay. Fast forward to today. The median income is $75,000. But the average home costs over $400,000. It easily consumes years of wages. The numbers on the paper got bigger, but the reality of what those numbers can pull out of the world got drastically smaller. This is purchasing power. So, who stole your purchasing power? We have to look at the year 1971. The US dollar was backed by physical gold. Governments couldn't just print endless amounts of cash because they needed physical gold in the vault. But the US was spending way more than it had. The vaults were draining. So on August 15th, 1971, President Richard Nixon temporarily took the US off the gold standard. On that day, fiat currency was born.
So who stole your purchasing power? We have to look at the year 1971. The US dollar was backed by physical gold.
Governments couldn't just print endless amounts of cash because they needed physical gold in the vault. But the US was spending way more than it had. The vaults were draining. So on August 15th, 1971, President Richard Nixon temporarily took the US off the gold standard. On that day, fiat currency was born. Fiat means money has value simply because the government says it does. The speed limit was removed. The central bank simply presses a button. They type a few zeros and poof, billions of new dollars enter the system. You cannot create something from nothing. When they print trillions, they aren't creating wealth. They are stealing the purchasing power from the money sitting in your savings account. But here is the most unfair part of the system, a concept known as the Cantillon Effect. When new money is printed, it doesn't just magically appear in everyone's pockets equally. It enters the economy at specific points, usually through large banks, giant corporations, and government contractors. These entities get to spend the newly printed money first, before the prices of goods have gone up. By the time that money trickles down through the economy to you, the average worker, it's been months or years. You finally get a small 3% raise at your job, but the prices of rent, food, and fuel have already skyrocketed by 10%. If you want visual proof of this illusion, look at the famous WTF happened in 1971 chart. For decades after World War II, worker productivity and worker compensation grew together perfectly. But right at that line in 1971, the two lines split. Productivity continued to skyrocket straight up. We got computers, the internet, automation, but the compensation line, it flatlined. The extra value you are generating is being siphoned off by the silent devaluation of the currency. Corporations know that if they raise the price of your favorite cereal from $4 to $6 overnight, you'll stop buying it. So they use a psychological trick called shrinkflation. They keep the price the same, but they secretly shrink the box. The chocolate bar gets a little thinner. The bottle of orange juice drops in size. You are paying the same amount of depreciating dollars, but you are physically taking home fewer calories, fewer materials, and less value. So if cash is a melting block of ice, what is the solution? The wealthy convert it into hard assets. Hard assets require real energy and time. Think of real estate. Think of essential commodities like grain and energy. think of gold. And in the digital age, think of Bitcoin with a hard cap of 21 million. The wealthy store wealth in things that inflate against the dying dollar. The game of money has changed. The old advice of go to school, get a good job, and save your money in a bank account is a guaranteed path to losing your purchasing power. You must stop trading your finite time on Earth for a currency that governments print for free. Educate yourself. Invest in hard assets. If this video was helpful, please like it and subscribe. Stay alert, protect your savings, and see you in the next video.